Hello, listener, and a quick word ahead of this week's episode. The movie is Don't Breathe, which is a new release, still in the cinemas in most places, so if you want to go and see it ahead of listening, please do. Otherwise, we're going to crack on, but be warned, there will be spoilers. Next week, we're going to be covering a little-known film called Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. It promises to be a riveting affair filled with twists and turns that you'll never see coming, so do check it out. It's available on Amazon, eBay, and all good DVD retailers. If you have seen either of those films and you want to let us know what you think, how you'd survive, or just general feedback, the Twitter handle to reach us on is at HowToSurvivePod, or if you're not Twitter literate, or Twitterate, as Chris likes to say, the email address is HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com. And do please tell your friends about the podcast. We need all the listeners we can get so we can form our own media empire so that when the apocalypse really does come around, we'll not only be equipped to survive, but we'll have the team to help us do so. And if you have any films to recommend us to watch, please let us know at the usual places. And if you want to send us a picture of your cat, you can do that on email or in the post. Send it to Chris's house. He lives in South London.
Please stop.
And
please stop.
If you,
this is supposed to be like a pithy thing at the start of the show. Like people are going to be unsubscribing.
And if you want to,
please end it.
Give
please.
me
I want to go home, Joe.
A free Uber, and send me your Uber voucher to my Twitter, and on with the show.
Yo, I got our ticket out of here. Rumor is this guy is sitting on at least $300K. Boom!
That's our guy.
Wait, is he blind?
We messed up to rob a blind guy, isn't it?
Just because he's blind don't mean he's insane, bro.
Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the How to Survive podcast. Don't Breathe is the flick. Chris and Joe are the click. Can't get enough of that How to Survive shit. Alright, Chris.
Hello, thanks for that intro.
That's alright.
Lovely old job.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it was wonderful, yeah.
Ice Cube.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chris, Don't Breathe is this week's film. It's in the cinema now. Mm-hmm. That's where we saw it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, be warned that we're going to obviously discuss it at length and probably spoil it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So go and do it, or don't. We'll throw on with the plot, shall we?
Sure.
Detroit, Chris. Detroit.
Yeah.
The home of Motown,
Sure.
the Cadillac, and Joe Louis.
Mm.
And a setting of the latest horror, thriller, or crime screamer, depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
From the director of The Evil Dead.
Sure.
Not Sam Raimi, though. Before you rush to applaud him.
Yeah.
It was Fede Alvarez.
Of course.
From
The world-renowned Fede
Alvarez.
Alvarez.
From Uruguay.
Yeah.
And it tells a story, Chris, of a group, 3 people, youths, who are down on their luck. They're down on their money, and they're down on employment opportunities. And so they've taken to burgling houses in order to make ends meet. Tired of chasing after small jobs, the group gets wind of a big score. An old blind man who has hundreds of thousands of dollars stored in his home in cash following an out-of-court settlement for a road traffic accident which killed his daughter.
Yeah.
And so the group, who are Rocky, a woman, her boyfriend, Money, and their friend Alex, break into the man's house in the middle of the night and drug his guard dog as they go. Once inside, Money sets off a sleeping gas capsule he's taken with him in the man's room as he lays in bed. After looking in 2 rooms on the obvious surfaces, they decide the Money must be behind the locked door in the living room.
There's a door with an ominously large padlock on it.
Yeah, exactly. And Money reveals that he's carrying a gun. He pulls it out and shoots the lock. The report from the pistol wakes the blind man, who appears at the door, demanding to know what's going on here in his house. Money threatens him with the gun, but the blind man overpowers him and then takes the gun off him and shoots him in the face.
Yeah. He's a war veteran.
He should be. He's a big unit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen Lang is the actor.
If you want to look him up for a silhouette sort of style, so you can get to know who we're really dealing with.
As we always say, he's what the Americans would call a character actor and what we would call an actor.
Yeah, exactly. So the blind man, seals all the exits and traps Rocky and Alex inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
As Rocky hides in a closet, the man enters and checks that his money is still in a safe hidden behind a panel. Rocky memorizes the code and steals the money as soon as he leaves the room, putting it in a backpack. The pair head through the previously padlocked door and down into the basement. As they search for an exit, they're startled by a woman who lunges towards them. It becomes clear that the woman is bound and gagged, and despite Alex's insistence that they leave her, Rocky tries to help. The girl shows them a newspaper clipping which explains that she was driving the car that killed the man's daughter. As the trio struggle to escape, the blind man heads them off at the basement's storm hatch and fires his gun into the darkness, killing the girl.
Well, it's all dark to him.
Well, yeah, into the darkness, the relative darkness.
Yeah.
Devastated at the loss of his prisoner, the man cuts the power at a circuit breaker, leaving them all in complete darkness. After a brief struggle, Alex and Rocky escape upstairs, but lo and behold, the dog has woken up. The dog chases them upstairs and they barricade themselves in a bedroom, but the man kicks down the door and lets the dog in, which first jumps at Alex, knocking him out the window, and then it jumps into an air vent, chasing after an escaping Rocky, until she's forced to dive headfirst into the vent system and knock herself unconscious.
Oh dear.
Alex is revealed to have landed on a skylight above the man's kitchen, which broke his fall, but is now slowly cracking. As he regains consciousness, the man shoots at him from an upstairs window, breaking the glass and sending him into the kitchen. Alex struggles to fight back, but after a brief skirmish, the man beats him unconscious and then delivers one final fatal blow with a pair of shears. Rocky wakes up in the vent and tries to escape through an air inlet on the side of the house. She's immediately captured by the man, who drags her down to the floor and knocks her unconscious.
Yeah.
When she awakes, she's bound in the restraints that previously held the girl from earlier.
Yeah.
And the man reveals that not only is the girl dead, but so is her unborn baby, because she was pregnant with his child. And he says that he had taken her prisoner until she was able to give him a child to replace the one she killed.
Yeah. But he's not a rapist, Joe.
No, he's not a rapist, and he makes that clear because as he reasons with Rocky that since she caused the death of his replacement child's mother, she must now supply him with another replacement.
Yeah.
So he takes out of a mini freezer he's got above his workbench.
Because he's not a rapist.
No, he's not a rapist. He takes out of his mini freezer a vial of semen, his own frozen semen.
Yeah, which has a hair in it.
Yeah, he boils it down to sort of room temperature, and he puts it in a turkey baster, and then he goes over to Rocky, and he's about to, impregnate her with the turkey baster.
Yeah, because he's not a rapist.
He's not a rapist. She's chained up. Very uncomfortable, very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But luckily for everyone, Alex wakes up, having not been killed. It was all a ruse.
Yeah.
He stabbed the body of Money, thinking it was Alex.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is quite a clever twist.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Alex comes downstairs and hits the man over the head.
Yeah.
And they, after a struggle, he sets Rocky free and they tie the man up. And off they go to safety until the man comes and shoots Alex in the head.
Yeah.
That's the end of him. It turns out he broke out almost immediately.
Yeah, from the handcuffs.
Yeah, which was rubbish. Rocky escapes through the front door and she shouts, "You're useless out here," out in the real world where, you haven't got the advantage of knowing the environment.
Yeah.
So the man sets the dog on her.
Yeah.
Chases her down. She gets in the car, Money's car from earlier. He's parked around the corner.
Yeah.
She lures the dog in, and after a contrived sort of escape situation, she leaves the dog in the car and crawls to safety before being hit on the head by the man again, who drags her back to his house. And now once inside, she sets off the burglar alarm, overwhelming his sense of hearing, which obviously is important to him.
Yeah.
Because he's blind.
That's how he navigates.
Exactly. And as he's all confused, she hits him with a crowbar, sending him hurtling down the stairs into the basement. And as he lands, the gun he was holding discharges into his body, leaving him compromised to a permanent end.
Yeah.
Rocky escapes out the front door as the police arrive, just in time, with all the money, and escapes to safety. And in a coda, as Rocky waits at the airport to escape to California with her younger sister for a better life, she learns through the news that actually the old man survived the ordeal.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends.
Yeah.
The end.
That is the end of Don't Breathe.
You can breathe now.
Breathe easy.
Chris, what genre is this film?
Well, it starts out as a sort of, it's almost like Panic Room-esque, tense thriller.
Yeah.
And then I would say about a third of the way through, when they discover the woman tied up downstairs, it turns into sort of exploitation, sort of seedy, grimy horror.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it stays until the end, really.
Yeah.
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 And it's a pretty grimy, unpleasant movie.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And it's quite a clever twist in the sense that it undercuts your expectations about the blind man, right? Because he's, you know, like, you can tell that he's hiding something, right? But it, you
see the trailer after all, yeah.
Well, yeah, but you may not realise the extent of his psychopathy. But it does set off a sort of undercurrent of nastiness that comes to a head with the turkey baster scene.
Yeah.
And, him saying, I'm not a rapist. Obviously, it goes without saying that he is a rapist.
Yes.
But it seems more like that line is there to serve the sort of conscience of the filmmakers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Rather than that of the character. And it's hard to reconcile the idea that the same man cared deeply for and was a good father to his daughter who died. And then is this same man... I know he's like, it's implied that he has a sort of crisis of faith and all that sort of thing since.
And it sent him over the edge, yeah.
Yeah, but it sent him over the edge into being a rapist. And then, like, did he build that whole underground sex dungeon after she died?
Yeah, presumably, yeah. Because he wanted to replace
While
her.
he was blind?
Yep. What's wrong?
When the police arrive at the end of the film, and then in the coda we see him on TV, and it's, this poor blind veteran managed to kill the two things. Did the police not go, why have you got a fucking truss in your basement where someone has clearly been held prisoner?
It's his business, mate.
Why is there blood everywhere and brain matter on the floor where guns have clearly been discharged?
Boys will be boys. Yeah, I agree.
So to answer
stupid. Yeah.
So to answer your question, anyway, it's a thriller that turns into a sort of grindhousey B-movie horror.
Yeah, I think it loses its way a bit in that sense.
Would you say?
Yeah, it waters down what is. I mean, it's a high concept idea, right?
Yeah, I think that the high concept elements remain. It's just that it has that undercurrent of like. The rest of the film exists in the shadow of sexual violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of. It colours the film in a way that makes it less enjoyable, in my opinion. But you and the listeners will all know that both of us are bleeding heart liberals.
Social justice warriors to the core.
Yeah. We won't stand for such things. This is obviously meant to be silly.
It
can be read in that way.
It is heightened, isn't it? Definitely. And it is, especially the warming up of the semen. It's all very sort of like obviously gross out. Yeah, horror.
Yeah, it does go into that.
Yeah,
and it goes from like. Let me take you on a journey, Chris.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we're talking about 20 minutes in. The group are all standing in silence as the man's pointing the gun around the room.
Yeah.
And he points at each of them in turn, not really knowing they're there. And this is where the title of the film really comes from. Don't breathe, because if you breathe, you'll give away where you are.
Yeah, because he'll hear
right?
you. Yeah. There is a scene, in fact, where that exact thing happens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're all standing in silence, holding their breath as he points the gun around, just waiting for someone to make a move. And then the phone vibrates, and it makes everyone jump. It's a good use of jump scare. And he shoots the floor, and everyone's like, but then he realises, oh, it's fine, there's no one here.
Yeah.
Right? Now, flash forward from there to 20 minutes before the end, when the same man, an old blind man, has a turkey baster filled with his own semen shoved in down his throat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does change tact slightly, yeah. Now that when you put it in those terms. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, because who are we supposed to care about?
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It's... let me take another journey, Chris. Same sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, good point. Who are we supposed to side with? The burglars robbing the blind man
Yeah,
or the murdering rapist.
Yeah, well, because the blind man, as he's called, that's the only
His character name, yeah.
Initially, when they first break into his house, it's a bit,
You side with him.
unsettling
Yeah.
and all that. But he's in his room and he's asleep, and his TV is playing an old home movie of his daughter, and it's sad. That's a sad image. This like sad, depressed blind man who's lost his daughter,
Yeah.
and the only way that he can sleep at night is listening to a tape of her
Voice, yeah.
Yeah. That's really sad. That's genuinely tragic and horrible. And then, like half an hour later, he's melting a frozen sample of his semen.
Like, I'll take you through that journey again, Chris. 20 minutes in. 20 minutes in we are.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, like, these reprehensible people, look, they've made the decision to go into this blind man's house.
Yeah.
This war veteran, who his daughter's died, for God's sake, and they're going to rob him. Well, at least they've bitten off more than they can chew because he can fight back. I'm glad he can, right? 20 minutes before the end, let's fast forward.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I hope the person who decided to rob the blind man doesn't get forcibly impregnated by him.
Exactly. It's a twist. It's a twist, Joe.
Roller coaster, right?
Yeah. Everyone in the film is essentially a horrible person. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Like, I think that you only mentioned it very briefly at the end, right? But the Rocky's motivation to get the money is that she wants to escape, like leave town with her little sister. Yeah. And she's from a very broken home, like a bit abusive. Mm-hmm. It's unpleasant, right? So that, there's an element of sympathy there, right? But it is so, like, two-dimensional and such a sort of transparent way of trying to get us to sort of empathise in a really short amount of time as well, like 5 minutes of, isn't it horrible that she lives in a trailer?
And her sister's mean.
Yeah, like that doesn't necessarily justify stealing
$300,000.
$300,000 from a otherwise destitute blind man whose daughter's dead. Yeah, like that's some sort of very, overreaching justification that's going on. They're not sympathetic characters, are they? No, I think, like you said, with the sort of change in genre, I think my favourite parts of the film are when they're all in the room with him, and he doesn't know that they're there because initially he doesn't realise that there's any more than one. Exactly, people in the house, and so they're standing in the room with him, but he can't see them, so obviously he doesn't know they're there. And like the tension there is really good, and it's really well done. Like you say, there's one of them stands on a creaky floorboard, and he's like trying to listen out, and then the phone goes off, and all that stuff. That stuff is brilliant. And like when he's walking, like one of the characters is walking down a corridor at one point, and the guy just strides through the corridor, and he has to he has to like press against the wall so he doesn't touch him, and hide under the sink and all that sort of stuff. That's all great.
It reminded me of Jurassic Park, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The T-Rex, his vision is based on movement, right?
Right.
So the T-Rex is like, right, and and you just got to stay completely still.
Right.
That's T-Rex.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah. And there's a similar bit where they're in the basement and the lights are out. That's also very tense, and they have a cool sort of grey night vision type thing.
Blair Witch.
There's a bit where Rocky is walking with her hand outstretched, and he's like literally inches away from her.
She almost grabs him.
But neither of them know that the other is there because they're doing it very silently, and he's sort of waiting to hear something. And the tension there is like, oh my god, this is brilliant. Like, and it's a very good. It's I still enjoyed the film overall. Like we haven't really talked about whether or not we enjoyed it. And I did enjoy the film overall. And like I said, the tense scenes where the tension really gets ramped up are the most fun parts of the film. Yeah. And I just wish there was more of that before it gets to the spunk.
Spunk Fest.
Yeah. Spunk Fest 2016.
Yeah. I mean, it does... When they go down there and they find the girl in the basement, and she makes them jump scare. Mm-hmm. Jump scare again?
But it is a jump scare, Joe, and not an air horn scare, as we talk about. Yeah.
See last week's episode for context.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, it's one of those movies.
Yeah.
It's like,
It doesn't go full, like, Hostel territory, though.
No, but it's like,
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have just a nice hostage drama. thriller.
Yeah, I know. It's more hostile than it is Panic Room.
Yeah, it's kind of like if, say, The Shallows. We covered that a few weeks back, which
Yeah.
is just one woman versus one shark. Right?
And then the
That's-
shark kidnaps her and tries to
Forcibly impregnate.
Yeah.
That's basically
Yeah, it is basically it. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned The Shallows because I wrote down that it reminded me of The Shallows in the sense of the completely redundant schmaltzy final sequence of the film, where like she's at the airport or a train station or whatever with her sister, and it's all right, and it's far.
This is a drawing of you and me in California.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like this is a drawing of our new life.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
It was all worth it in the end.
like.
So how do you read the ending, by the way? Is it like, oh, there's going to be another one?
I'm like, well, this is what are we supposed to believe that Rocky wasn't chased by the police at all? Because she's definitely visible to the police as they're driving down the road and she like runs across the road, right?
Well, I think it's supposed to be like,
But like,
No.
so like, you don't think the police find the restraints in the basement? Or like, what about like how incompetent are the police? Like we love incompetent police work.
Yeah.
So these are like a new level, right? Is there a suggestion that, like, when we see him on TV, like, oh, the blind man managed to survive, right?
the blind man who had several vials of his own frozen semen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, and
In his own
Not
stomach.
to mention that he must have been found in the basement,
Yeah.
because that's where his body fell. Like, so it's not as though they
They
didn't
brushed
realise the
over-
basement
yeah,
was there. Yeah, like, is the implication that he might come after her? Like, because that's absolutely mad if that's what they're trying to imply.
Because he's blind.
He does. Yeah, exactly. Like, is he going to go across the country? Like, it doesn't. Yeah, it's totally ridiculous, that last scene, and it's sort of like the ending is really padded out, like dragging out. Like, the film's only 90 minutes long,
Yeah.
and yet it does feel dragged out.
It does, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's because, I think it's because, right, the first time the dog comes back, you're like, oh, right, I saw that coming anyway, that's fine.
Yeah,
Just the dog. And then the second time the dog comes back, you're like, fucking hell, like, haven't we done this already?
dogs are boring as well. I find dog things
Yeah.
like dog scenes in horror movies pretty boring. Personally.
You've been spoiled for it. Like, Green Room did it
Yeah.
pretty well. But even
Yeah.
Green Room laboured it, like, really
They
spread it on
had it
there
over
thick.
again. Yeah,
This, though, is like, there's one dog, okay, fine. They beat the dog, lock him in the room.
yeah. Well, no, they drug the dog, then they
Yeah.
beat the dog, lock him in a room,
Yeah.
and then lock him in the boot, and then he comes out the boot, and then they lock him in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, and the vent as well. He comes through the vent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, perhaps worse than that, Alex, the friend,
Yeah.
he basically dies several times. He falls
Well,
out the window and,
yeah.
like, he's dead. You know, that's
Yeah.
fine. Could have killed him there. But they kept him alive to, like, stir and, like, have a little torture scene where the guy's, like, sniffing around under him.
Yeah.
Then he shoots the window and he falls down and is dead again.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, he's not dead. He gets up and he has a fight with him.
Yeah.
And he kills him.
That's quite a good scene, though, I thought. They have like a brawl,
A
and obviously
blind
he's
fight, yeah.
blind and the other guy isn't.
Yeah,
That is
have
good.
Have that an hour earlier. Have
Yeah.
that when he kills money. Then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
any number of things.
I think that's all right, but it's the that fight happens, and then the blind man picks up some garden shears and stabs what we think is Alex, and that's
Yeah.
a satisfying conclusion to that fight. You know, he fought, he got overpowered, fine.
Yeah, but
Right.
then you remove the satisfaction by having him come back from the dead
Exactly.
for
yeah.
2 seconds just to be killed again.
Yeah, and that time he is actually dead.
Yeah.
So that is
Every character, every character comes back from the dead at one point. Other
Yeah,
than money.
and at that point, when Alex dies, that's where she runs out of the house, and then the dog chases her, and then she ends up back in the house,
Yeah.
and in the same area where Alex is killed.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that. That's the point for me. If I was looking to cut this film down, just
If
cut
you're
that dog
editing it,
sequence
yeah.
out,
Yeah.
and just have them go into the fight.
Yeah.
The final fight in the living room there. But anyway, overall, I think it's a good film.
Yeah, fair enough.
And enjoyable, worth watching. Fucking frozen semen.
Yeah, frozen semen. Pieces fertilizer. Frozen semen.
Frozen semen out of 10.
Great. Question for you though.
Yeah.
Fede Alvarez, the director of the movie.
Yeah.
This is an IMDb trivia. You know we love IMDb trivia. Stupid IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
Fede Alvarez. Fede.
Fede.
Fade.
Like Freddy, but Fede.
Fede.
Yeah.
Fede. Fede Alvarez got inspiration for this movie on growing up in Montevideo, Uruguay.
Okay. That's as good as a confession, isn't it?
What part?
He robbed blind men.
Robbed blind men, or forcibly impregnated people with his sperm?
Jesus Christ.
Like, what
Yeah.
part of this movie is like Montevideo?
Well, I presume it's probably like the decrepit urban environment, which is like It Follows, which is also
set in Detroit. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they are sort of similar movies as well. I think
They have the same sort of indie
yeah,
thriller appeal.
aesthetic sort of thing. Yeah. Just one more thing, Joe. I just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Recap for me the reasons that they decide to break into this guy's house.
So they have access. They have easy access. That's one reason.
Yeah.
Because,
But why this guy's house?
Because his daughter was
Yeah.
killed in a
Yeah.
road traffic accident,
Yeah.
and the girl who was driving the car that killed her,
Yeah.
her parents were rich,
Yeah.
and they paid him off so it wouldn't go to court,
Yeah.
and he is therefore sitting on a fortune
Yeah.
in his house.
Ah,
Yeah.
how do they know that? See, people have these things called bank accounts, Joe.
They do.
Like, how on earth do they know that a man hasn't at any point in the intervening years since his daughter's death paid any of the money into a bank account?
Well, I think they did make that point in the movie, and Money said something like, "Fuck off, we'll find out," or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, that's a great way to leave it.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say I don't understand how they know that it's
Yeah.
in cash.
They don't,
basically.
yeah.
They don't. And that's the sort of quality logic that the characters in Don't Breathe subscribe to.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, Chris, how would you survive if you were up against the blind man?
Well, Joe, every so often a film comes up and we like to return to our How to Survive staples. These are the things that come up time and time again. And I'm going to be the one to say it, Joe, all right?
Yeah,
I'm going to be the one. And that is to make the most of your opportunity to fully incapacitate the threat.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this in episode 1, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
How many times was Mrs. Voorhees, knocked to the ground or whatever? And here we are again. It's episode 60.
Yeah.
It's been well over a year and people still don't learn.
They haven't
Joe.
learned, have
It's
they?
as though they're not listening to the How to Survive podcast. But here we go.
They've had Friday the 13th came out in 1980.
Yeah.
They've had 40 years to listen to
Exactly.
all the episodes.
Yeah. And they haven't because they don't want to. That's haven't bothered. It's lazy. So basically, the scene in question is Alex. He incapacitates the blind man, handcuffs him to a railing in the basement. Rocky's there. Alex is there. They debate killing him, and then decide to just leave with the money.
Yep.
Right. Why? Why do they leave him alive? Right? Because if they're not going to call the police and they think that he's trapped or like handcuffed there permanently, that's as good as killing him anyway. He's going to starve to death, right?
Yeah.
Why is it preferable to make a blind man starve to death than just shoot him in the head or whatever, right? And if they had done that, Alex would have survived. That is an option that was open to them. I know morally, in the film, in the film, it's presented as like a moral conundrum. Like that's a step too far or something, right? Despite the fact that he is a rapist, a kidnapper, a murderer, right? They're like, oh no, we can't kill him. Yeah. Let's just take his money and buy
10 years for killing him.
Just take his money and buy. He's buying our silence, they say, right? So that's unethical in the sense that they're just leaving him to kidnap another girl.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They've got no like like I said, the moral quandary is we shouldn't kill him ourselves. But they are essentially, if they believe that he's trapped there, which they do because they don't perceive him as a threat anymore, then there is no moral quandary because they're killing him anyway. Mm-hmm. If anything, the ethical thing to do is to kill him quickly by shooting him. But they don't want to do that, Joe, because they're cruel. Yeah. And cruel people are the sorts of people who rob blind men's houses in the first place, especially bereaved, blind war veterans.
Yeah. Kidnappers, rapists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, they should have killed him. They should have killed him in the basement. And we say, why didn't they do this? At this point, why didn't they? Right, but I think this is a fairly legitimate juncture at which they make a decision, and it's the wrong one. And the reasons they use to justify the decisions are no good.
Yeah. They're already on shaky ground in terms of taking the moral high ground. Aren't
Yeah,
they?
exactly. Yeah. So that's basically it. That's my first.
Way to survive.
Yeah.
Advice. I
What,
like it.
what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
As we said, it's a staple.
Yeah.
It's written into the How to Survive stone tablets.
Yeah.
It's a cardinal rule of survival.
Yeah.
Well,
So how about yourself?
if I found myself in the Don't Breathe house with the blind man,
Yeah.
I think I'd look back on my days of playing Manhunt on PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Did you ever play it?
Yeah.
You familiar? It was a Rockstar game.
Mm-hmm.
Who they made.
That's the company that made it. Not it's not endorsed by like
Lemmy from Motorhead.
yeah, dearly departed Lemmy.
Yeah. No, it's the game. The game is you. If you don't know it, the game is you play an escaped convict who's like sneaking around like a city or
It's like
abandoned buildings.
Is it like a reality TV show?
Yeah, that's right. You're
Thing?
being filmed through
Yeah.
CCTV, and someone in an earpiece is telling you like, "Okay, go up behind that guy and you kill him."
These streets are being patrolled by gangs. They're scum, just like you. And they're here to hunt you down and cut you up. I'll try to direct you as best I can, but other than that, you're on your own. It's up to you. Okay, are you ready? Camera, action.
And
Yeah.
it's the same mechanic for everything. You
Yeah.
tap the wall, and the guy comes over like Splinter Cell style to look at like what you're doing.
Yeah,
And then you sneak up behind him and
Sure.
club him to death or put a plastic bag over his head and choke him. Horrible ways. It's a really horrible game.
Yeah.
But that's taught me some basic rules on how to survive against someone who can't see you.
Okay.
And that's just,
Use auditory
look,
distractions.
Watch this, ready?
Is that someone at the door?
No, it was me, Chris.
Oh.
I was causing an audible distraction.
Oh, if I was alone in the room, I would have assumed that was someone at the door
Yeah.
and gone to answer it,
And then that's
and
when I'd
left
have-
myself opened
That's when
to
I
attack.
crowbarred you in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I had a similar thought. I mean, like towards the end of the film, they do set off the alarm.
Yeah.
Which
It overwhelms him,
yeah, like Daredevil style.
Yeah.
You know, like his superpower is being able to hear.
No!
Yeah. He and so that stops him from being able to hear properly.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you thinking? Like sort of throw something?
Yeah, throw a pencil.
Yeah.
Because he shoots a phone for ringing.
Yeah.
All you got to do is like they're not wearing shoes, but
Yeah.
pick up a DVD case or whatever he's got lying around,
Yeah.
throw it across the room.
Mm.
He's going to think you knocked something over and go to investigate.
Yeah.
And I mean, based on Manhunt, he's going to go through a basic character animation. He's going to stand there, scratch your head, and go, could have sworn I heard something here.
Yeah.
And then when he turns around, he whack.
Yeah.
Give him a smack.
Tonight, we're gonna find you. Shit, I could have sworn.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like the general principle of distracting someone who's relying solely on their hearing by making noise elsewhere is a solid one, and it's not one that they really do, apart from the alarm thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. So like that, yeah, I think that's a good way of surviving.
Thank you.
Piss in his pants somewhere. Come on, stay sharp.
So about you, any more ideas on how
Yeah,
to
I
survive?
mean, my suggestion was that, like, why not set? They've got the alarm remote.
Yeah.
Just set that off really early.
Early doors.
Because, like, if it's loud enough to distract him completely, then you're going to have an opportunity to overpower him or to escape or whatever, aren't you? And, like, as we see, that ends up calling the police as well, which is, like, by the point at which money is killed, it's worth,
Cut your losses.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're in this old sunk cost fallacy.
Well, they
territory,
do acknowledge that if they do call the police at that point, they'd be facing a 10-year stretch each as well.
If that's true. Well, yeah. But like once they're,
Victims.
yeah, exactly. I think basically set the alarm off earlier was my suggestion, because it's just gonna confuse him, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gonna make life very difficult for him.
Yeah.
And that's what you want
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
You want a struggling blind man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the only good blind man is a struggling blind man. That's the official word of the How to Survive podcast.
Fair enough.
What about you? Any further tips?
Yeah, well, he may be very athletic, Chris, and very strong,
Yeah.
but he is still blind,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah,
that's
correct.
That
yeah.
is a disability.
Yeah.
Right. That's not. I'm not trying to be ableist or disableist or I don't know what the correct nomenclature is, but
Yeah.
I'm having a go just because people can't see.
Mm-hmm.
There's various levels of vision impairment, and that doesn't mean you can't live a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
But he is blind, and that
Mhm.
is a disability.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
So just hit him over the head with something really heavy,
Okay.
and that's it. There's two of you. At one point, there's
Right.
three of you.
Okay.
That's a dog fall. You just jump on him and kick the shit out of him.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not having a go.
Yours
but
is
I'm
just
saying-
basically physically overpower him, but I think the fear for them is that more often than not, he's got the advantage on them because he's got a gun or a bit of
a
weaponry.
weapon. Yeah. Hit him harder.
But then, but like with what? I know there's stuff lying around the house, and you can
Yeah.
say, "Oh, just pick up like anything."
Pick up one of those axes that he's got lying around.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's got like a tool room.
Yeah.
But it's easy to say. Like, and the only time we see one of the characters in the tool room is Alex when he's fighting the blind man.
Again, the shit
and
kicked out of him.
and he does pick up a tool and try and attack him with it.
Yeah.
So
But
they
that's-
are broadly following your
The
advice.
man only really beats Alex because he's just swinging wildly around the room and just happens to get a few lucky hits, right? And I think maybe he
Yeah.
has him like locked, like grabs hold of him at one point.
Yeah, he does. He does also do that. Yeah.
A second person would be really handy there, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, but the girl is stuck in a vent unconscious in a crumpled heap at that point.
But not for the whole film.
No, but I think you're
Do you think it's played so that
I think basically
all-
like your suggestion is basically that the guy walks in and rather than pointing the gun at him or
Yeah.
whatever, they will just
kick the shit out of him?
yeah, exactly. Which is, feasible.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done that, but also there was only two of them at that point, actually, not three.
Yeah, because Alex had left.
Left because of morals. And yeah,
Yeah. Well,
it's-
there's another quick favourite of the How to Survive podcast.
Yeah.
Stick to your morals.
that is true. Yeah.
If he hadn't come back, he wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, although, yeah, that's true. Yeah, although we can't change character motivations and he's in love with Rocky. So,
That's true.
yeah. But he does also, it's a clash of morals for Alex, really, isn't it? Because he doesn't want to rob the blind man initially, but then he's convinced to because of Rocky's sister. He wants to
Exactly,
help
yeah.
Rocky
Yeah.
and her sister out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a clash of two conflicting desires in him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
To do good and also to be a nice person to his friend.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Any more?
Yeah. Michael Moore.
Yeah, the documentarian.
Yeah. He made a movie in 1989.
Roger and Me.
Roger and Me.
Yeah.
Where was that set?
That was in Flint, Michigan.
Flint, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Neighbouring town to Detroit.
Okay.
What was it about?
It was about the sort of dismantling of the motor industry,
Yeah.
right? That existed in Flint, Michigan.
Yep.
General Motors, they closed down a lot of their factories, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then all the people lost their jobs, and it was the cause of a massive sort of financial crash in the area.
Yep.
No one had any money because the main industry for the region had upped and left, basically.
Yep.
Is that a good summation?
I'm impressed actually because that sounds like you prepared. You didn't.
I didn't prepare, no.
You just know a lot about Roger and Me.
I was watching Capitalism: A Love Story yesterday.
Really?
But yeah,
Of course.
coincidentally,
Yeah.
in which he talks about Roger and Me,
Yeah.
and basically I just parroted him there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, Roger and Me. Here's an update.
Yeah.
Same situation.
hmm
There hasn't been a massive investment of money
Has there not?
into Detroit.
But the lush palatial surroundings of the area that we see in the film.
Yeah. That was nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Mate, nearly 30 years ago.
Mm.
And yet people are still there, still scratching their heads.
Mm.
These people.
Yeah.
They know the Californian's a better life.
Right. Okay.
You haven't got to rob a house. You've got to rob
Yeah,
a
but-
blind man to know that.
But property is more expensive there. They don't have. The problem is that there's a lack of social mobility because no one can get any money in the first place enough to.
Greyhound bus, $12.
Yeah, but then what? You're just going to go and be homeless in California?
I don't know.
I don't think that's a very good survival tactic, is it?
Get a job
if you've got
and save up.
Yeah, but there's no jobs. You just quoted a Michael Moore documentary, and you've clearly not taken any of it in apart from the superficial information.
Listen, Chris.
These people,
Roger and Me was a movie. That's for sure.
It was a documentary like the Blair Witch Project. It was about how lazy the whole town of Flint, Michigan are. They don't want to work, Joe.
Yeah,
that's
the problem.
Yeah.
No, all I'm saying is, there has to be a better way.
You're just disregarding 3 decades of struggle by an entire county by just going, well, they're just not working.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, by the time you've burgled all these people.
Yeah, but you're saying, why don't you just move to California? And there's economic reasons why they can't do that.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna have to shoot that down.
Doug Stanhope's got a good joke, which I'm not gonna repeat it. I will repeat it right now.
Okay.
But he says, if you live in Flint, Michigan, you hold the keys to your cell because you make cars, drive anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
not anymore though.
No, exactly. Listen, Chris, I'm not an economist.
No.
As you know,
Famously, or a documentarian.
No. But I do watch documentaries.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as it goes.
Okay.
Don't remember them too well, apparently.
Yeah.
So my advice for me is to go and do some more research about
Flint, Michigan.
Social
mobility.
Social nobility.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we'll be back with another thrilling edition of the How to Survive podcast.
Would you believe it's that time again? It's been 10 weeks. It's been only
God.
10 weeks.
I'd forgot till you started talking then.
Yeah.
The utterance.
Yeah, next week, Friday the 13th, part 7?
6.
No, 7.
7.
7. The New Blood,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, after Jason lives.
Friday
yeah.
the 13th, part 7, The New Blood.
If you've been following us along on our journey through the Friday the 13th franchise, you'll know that the last one was actually a bit of a change in direction.
Exactly. I have no faith that that's going to continue.
No. We had some messages in about that, actually. I didn't tell you.
Okay.
People were like, are you mental? It's still a Friday the 13th movie.
Good, right.
Yeah.
Well, if you have seen the Friday the 13th movies and want to warn us, then the email address is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com. You can warn us via Twitter as well, at howtosurvivepod. Or you can warn us in the framework of a review left on iTunes, which really helps us reach a wider audience so everyone can hear us suffering through Friday the 13th and other assorted bad horror movie franchises. Yeah. The wheels are turning, Joe. Cogs are in motion for planning what film franchise we're going to do after Friday the 13th, because they do end, surprisingly, Joe. Yeah. They do actually end at some point.
We're still about 40 weeks away.
Yeah, I know, but things are planned. Yeah. Things are being planned.
That's how far in advance we plan these things.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have any suggestions or thoughts as to what that might be, then please get in touch. And go out and watch Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood by next week, if you care about it. If not, then just listen next week and we'll tell you all about it and how shit it probably is.
Yep. Thank you for listening. See you next time. And remember, don't breathe. That's rubbish. No, don't press it. Don't press it. We're not done.
Ice Cube is the lick, West Side is the click. Can't get enough of this gangster shit. You wanna check our cojones? We got the feds up on us. We gotta roll our Daytonas because we know that they want us. And if they catch us in rap, it's a reasonable doubt. My niggas pointing me out. My mama screaming she shot. But we got enough green from our triple beam.